St Alban's second virtual open evening for this week. Let's start this evening, as we should, with a prayer. Lord, we ask you to bless our parents, our carers and friends tonight with your wisdom and care, that we may find enlightenment and support in the decisions we make about our forthcoming choice. Bless each Year 6 student as they make their way through this final challenging year of primary school. May they find love and peace in your guidance. Amen. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. So I'll start with an introduction. I'm Matt Baker. I'm head teacher of the school in the sixth form here at St Albans. And as you'd expect, I'm here to say great things about the school. And I'm biased, so I will. I love this school. But so did Ofsted when they visited us in January of 2020. And I've picked out some key things from the inspection report that are really important to hear as those people thinking about choosing St Albans. They said, pupils understand the importance of the school community. They are polite, mature and considerate towards others. They respect and look after each other. Staff and pupils help new pupils to quickly become part of the school. What an amazing thing to read and for them to find out talking to our students as you come to the point where you're choosing a school. What a brilliant testament for us. I'll continue a few other comments. Pupils feel safe at the school. Pupils attend school regularly. The school offers pupils things to do outside of lessons. There are many clubs and activity days that allow them to explore other interests. Pupils are proud of their charity events and enjoy being given the opportunity to make a difference in society. And of all the messaging that comes out of this world, and sometimes that's quite a selfish message that comes across, our students buck that trend. They think about the common good, the good for all, and that's the sort of students we try to produce here. There are 5 founding principles that the Catholic Church say about good Catholic schools. So I'd like to share those with you, because they form our mission. 1, to search for excellence in what we do. 2, to celebrate the uniqueness of the individuals that come here. 3, to educate the whole person. 4, to support those with any disadvantage. And 5, to fully develop the moral principles in our young people. That's quite a tough ask, but you'll see the sort of people, the sort of aims we're trying to achieve. They're well-rounded young people that go into this world fully prepared for a world that we're not all certain about at the moment. But if we have those 5 things, that's a good start. And when they do come in, and we teach them those things, we do so in a curriculum that's, I would say, fairly traditional in most ways. So yes, we will be teaching them lots of English and maths and science, and outstanding across the subjects, as you'll see tonight. So we have strong foundations, but we also have a breadth, and we're passionate about that. We want the students to have fun and love their learning. So when it comes to our GCSE pathways, which you can ask us about later in your questions, you'll see that some students do more GCSEs, some do less. Some have completely different pathways, because it's about the individual being successful. And what do we base all our education on? Well, I think it's an idea of good behaviour, high levels of respect. So we want in this school to have a disciplined and nurturing, engaging environment for students to be inside. That we discipline with dignity and that we care with integrity. So that's our bedrock. And you do have to say, I have to say to you that that's something, if you want to join us, that you're going to have to support us in that we believe in really, really strongly in order to deliver our principles. Finally, from me tonight, I want you to have a really good look around all the materials on our virtual Open Evening website. There are so many areas to click on, whether it be the subject-specific areas, so have a look around all those subjects, and some of the heads of faculty are going to talk about those tonight, but also the pastoral side of the school. Click on those links and see all the support you can get there. Really have a good look. If you'd like a more bespoke tour of the school, then there's a Zoom pick time area, and there are links where you can have a smaller group like you would on a normal year and have a small tour with us of the school and have a chat with us. And if you click on those, there's about 8 maximum there. Or if you want a one-to-one, please just give us a call, drop us an email. And if you've got any concerns, any questions, anything you just want clarified before you apply. So there's several ways there that you can really get some really good information. And we have tried so hard to open this school up and see us in an honest light so you can choose us, having the full facts. Enjoy the evening, and more than anything, ask some questions in the chat. I would ask you to do that. And anything that you're thinking of, anything that you really want any more information of, just let us know. Right, over to the panel, and I'm going to hand you over to my assistant head teacher, Mrs. Lawrence.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Mrs. Lawrence, and as Mr. Baker said, my role in the school is assistant head teacher, and my area of responsibility is teaching and learning. I've been with the school for 16 years now, more than 16 years, which is quite a long time. But I'm here because of all that St Albans has to offer, and because this is a fantastic school. So before I say any more, I'd like to introduce you to my colleagues who are here this evening, who will be speaking to you shortly about their different areas of expertise. So on my left, I have Mr. Magot, who is our Head of Modern Foreign Languages. Mrs. Wise, who's the Head of Humanities here. Mrs. Gilson, Head of RE. And then to the right, I have Miss Allen, who is the Head of Year 8. And Mrs. Boothie, who is our Head of Inclusion. Behind the scenes, I'd also like to mention Mrs. Morris, who's here, and she'll be fielding your questions later. And she's the Head of Sixth Form here, of our very inspirational and exciting Sixth Form. So obviously at the moment you're thinking of joining us for Year 7, but we do look at it as a journey through to 18 so that you will stay with us for the duration, and many of our students do that, of course. So the session this evening will last for about an hour, and the first 30 minutes will be for us in the panel to talk to you about key aspects of the school, the areas we have responsibility for, and what we find really exciting about working here. And then the second half is over to you, for you to ask us your questions. And I'm sure there's loads of things that you'd like to know. So please do enter your questions into the chat when we've finished our sections, and we will answer those for you. Obviously, we're going to be a little bit limited by time, so apologies if we don't get to all of the questions. But as Mr. Baker said, feel free to contact the school. We'd love to hear from you if you have any further questions that we haven't covered this evening. In addition, the virtual school that Mr. Baker mentioned as well, that is still live on our website. Thank you to all of those who've already visited it. We've had high numbers of people visiting our virtual school. It's a really new and exciting way of working. Obviously, we would have loved to welcome you to the school personally, but circumstances have made that impossible. But do have a look on our website. So just a few bits from me about the school generally. As Mr. Baker alluded to in his opening address there, this is a unique school, and it feels very different to other schools. Visitors to the school, the parents and the students who are here, the staff that work here, comment that this is such a welcoming and friendly community. We're like a family here, and that's really important to us. It's at the heart of the Catholic mission, this idea of dignity and respect for the individual, and it filters into what we do with our pastoral care system as well. I'm sure Ms. Allen will mention this later in more detail, but we take that incredibly seriously, likewise our safeguarding duty. So although my responsibility in school is teaching and learning, I'm also one of the safeguarding team, which is also made up of Mr. Horn, the assistant head teacher, and Mrs. Land and Mrs. Arthur from the key stages. So we have a largish team for the school to help support the students in the best way that we can. In addition, we celebrate the diversity of our community. We think that's incredibly important, the uniqueness of everybody who is created in the likeness and image of God, and we think that's very important in what we do here. So in the lessons, but also outside of lessons, we create that nurturing environment for young people. In addition to that, we are a very high achieving school. We have very high expectations for the students that come here in terms of behaviour and in terms of achievement, and we support them to be the very best that they can be. We're very proud of our results. Last year, 8 out of 10 students achieved a strong pass in English and Maths for us, and we're very proud of that. In addition, for A-level, we were top 10% of national schools with our outcomes. Students worked incredibly hard for that, and so did the staff, so did the whole community. And that's something to be very, very proud of, which we are. So I'm going to hand over now to Mr. Magot, who's going to tell you more about foreign languages.
Bonsoir. My name is Monsieur Magot, and I am the head of modern languages here at St. Albans. Tonight I would like to talk to you about my department. We have a very clear vision of what we want our pupils to achieve. Languages are challenging, but we make them accessible and fun to all. As a department, we have a very high standard in terms of learning. We enjoy stretching our students as much as we can, but also meeting the needs of every learner. How do we do it? First of all, we know our pupil really, really well, thanks to a combination of data, scrutinizing their work, and getting to know them. When appropriate, we try to speak in the target language, as in French, German, or Spanish, as much as we can. Our lessons use authentic material, and we also teach our pupil to be independent learners. We have a set of outstanding teachers, and I am very proud to lead a diverse department. 3 out of 4 of us are native speakers, which means that your child will get the best listening experience out of us. We also have our 6th formers from time to time, helping our Year 7 as part of their A-level studies. I think that speaking with confidence in this world is an important skill. And we would like to think that in my department, we are conducing to their development towards this. So when our pupils start in Year 7, they will be with their form group, as we need to know and understand them better. After October half term, we usually have quite a lot of data, which will give us a very clear indication on how your child is coping with this new language. We will then set them in order to target them for the right level. But please be reassured that there are always movements in between sets all through the year. At the end of the year, you will receive a letter from me giving your child the opportunity to study an extra language. And that will be in Year 8. You will have the choice between Spanish and German combined with French. And we will do our best to meet your wishes. In Year 9, you then will be able to continue a language for GCSE or even 2, if you wish to. The MFL department has its own YouTube channel, QR codes linked to grammar points, MFL ambassadors chosen every year with a very, very generous gift from Mr. Baker, like an Amazon voucher. And they also have the privilege of wearing a language pin on their blazers. Another point which makes us unique is that every year we have a modern foreign language assistant from France, Germany, and now from Spain, who can help enrich classroom activities and bring fresh perspectives to language learning. Due to COVID restriction, unfortunately this year we were not able to have one, but hopefully next year everything will be back to near normal. And they are keen to bring knowledge of their culture and language into our classroom, helping to make our students more socially conscious. This is a great department, and I am very, very proud of it. We are all really looking forward to meeting you. So for the moment, it is au revoir, auf Wiedersehen, adios from me.
Mrs. Wise.
Hello, I'm Mrs. Wise. I'm Head of Humanities here at St Albans, which constitutes the subjects of geography, history, and also at A-level we have social sciences, which is psychology and sociology. So I'm going to talk to you first about geography. So geography is an incredibly successful department which is led by Mrs. Williamson and Mrs. Marcus, and it also has Mrs. Morris there as a teacher of geography. They start year 7 in geography with key geographical skills. So it's your basics to understand geography. So understanding things like the continents, where different countries are, oceans and maps in general. Then as they work through the years, it's about developing those key skills. So map reading, what settlements are, and the environmental geography. So a big part of that is the impact of things like tourism. And this is where it's put into practice because year 7 in geography get to go on a trip. They get to go to Flatford and Dedham and see tourism in action and see the impact that tourism is having on the environment. So this is a trip that students really enjoy and get a lot out of. It's something that they often, when they do their leaving speech in year 11, they often refer back to enjoying some of these trips. Geography provide a great opportunity for our students in terms of trips. There's also a Walton on the Naze trip in year 8 as well. So they take whole year groups out to give them opportunities to work on field work in action, which is an amazing opportunity for our students. They also promote really celebrating success in geography. So they have a Geographer of the Month where students are nominated to receive a certificate for excelling in geography. And this is something that students really enjoy receiving, and it is celebrated on our Instagram page as well. Our success in geography is really shown as well in the fact that we have past students who have gone on to do great things. So one example is Sam Moore, who is actually now currently studying a PhD in Oxford from geography. History is the other subject that students will study in year 7. We start chronologically in history. We start with the medieval Britain and we work through chronologically in year 7 and 8 right up to modern day history. It's a real focus on developing key skills, and really in our year 7 focus is about prolonged essay writing. We want them to have transferable skills that they can not just use in history but also take on to other essay-based subjects like English and RE. We hope to provide a foundation of key skills in history to prepare students to take the option at GCSE, and both history and geography get very good numbers at GCSE because students enjoy the subjects that they're taking. We also provide trips in history as well, geography as well as geography. So we have run trips in the past like to see Warhorse in London. We've also run trips to Norwich Castle as part of the GCSE. And we hoping to run this year for year 9 a trip to London Dungeons as part of the Crime and Punishment course. We also do extended work connected to things like Black History Month, where we ran a competition last year, and that was celebrated with prizes for the best entries to that competition. So the main thing about humanities is that it's both history and geography, and you get to experience all the skills you need to take you through to hopefully study it at GCSE and beyond into A-level. But if you don't do history and geography, we also, like I mentioned before, have social sciences, which includes sociology and psychology, which history and geography are a really good basis for. Both incredibly successful departments at A-level as well, with really, really successful results. So hopefully we show that history and geography and the humanities faculty is a really knowledgeable faculty, and we hope to inspire you in year 7 so that you carry on from year 7 all the way up into A-level.
Thank you. Mrs. Gilson.
Can I just apologise in advance because I'm going to have to read this because I'm not as good as the other two. So if you didn't pick that up, I'm Mrs. Gilson and I'm head of RE. So I've worked at this school for a number of years, probably the same time as Mrs. Lawrence actually, and I think the fact that I'm still here speaks volumes, I hope, about the quality of the staff and the students. Our department, although small, teaches every student up to GCSE, and we're our core subject. We love our subject, and obviously we are the best department. I was told that I couldn't say that, but I felt that I should because this is going to go live. We work hard at building excellent relationships with our students and heavily invest in doing so. Some also go on to study philosophy and ethics at A-level, which is always a joy to see because we see them from year 7 all the way through. We are sad that the open evening has not taken place this way because we love the face-to-face interaction. The ability to meet siblings and friends of our current students is always lovely, especially when they're brought along or sometimes dragged along to meet us. We care about our students and always want the best for them, and where necessary, we'll liaise with heads of department, with pastoral, form tutors, home, to ensure that they get the very best access to their education, because that is vitally important. That's what we're here for. We believe learning is not just for the classroom, and in the past have taken students on a pilgrimage to Rome, which is always popular, and that takes place usually during activities week and is for a week. You might think the early morning starts and walking in hot weather is something that most students would not be pleased about doing, but they loved it. The visit to the Vatican or the other churches were always popular. Last year we took nearly 50 students, or the year before last, we took nearly 50 students on the last trip, and they came away in love with the country, its spirituality, history, culture, and more importantly, the food. You may already know that our department can have 2 inspections, Ofsted and Section 48, which is carried out by the diocese. I'm pleased to say that our last Section 48 inspection was very successful, with us gaining good with outstanding features, and the Catholic life of the school and the chaplaincy was singled out with specific mentions. Finally, I'd just like to say that we really hope students enter our subject with an inquiring mind and leave it with some questions answered and a greater desire to learn more. We really look forward to welcoming your students, or your children, as our new students. Thank you.
Thank you. Miss Allen.
Good evening, my name is Miss Allen and I'm currently Head of Year 8 here at St Albans. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the pastoral care system we have here, because we believe that strong pastoral support is key in everything that we do. When your child comes into St Albans in September, they'll be allocated into a form group. They will have a dedicated form tutor who becomes their first point of call for any daily wellbeing and behaviour monitoring. They spend about 20 to 30 minutes with their form tutor each day. We also have dedicated non-teaching pastoral support, who are also our designated safeguarding leads in each key stage. We have Catherine, our school chaplain, who offers spiritual and moral guidance for all pupils in the school, and this team is overseen by a head of year such as myself. We believe this offers a comprehensive pastoral community, and community is something that is key at St Albans. As Mr Baker and Mr Lawrence said, we like to build a community founded on the gospel values, and one way in which we do this is through our house system. Each form group is in a certain house. We have 6 houses: Audrey, Avila, Bosco, Bottle, Edmund and Magdalene. And pupils wear their ties in a different coloured stripe depending on which house they're in. Our house systems do great work of encouraging a cross-year grouping engagement. We also do lots of charity work here at St Albans, and each house has a certain charity day where they raise money to help our local community. This year, our charities that we are supporting are CAFOD, St Vincent de Paul and Suffolk Mind. But our house system is also linked to our behaviour system. Here at St Albans, we work on a system of positive and negative behaviour points. We believe it's so important to celebrate the positives of our St Albans students, and there really are so many. Pupils earn house points, which go towards our house cup, but we also offer more immediate rewards, such as Hot Chocolate Fridays, star badges, and end-of-year pizza lunches with the head teacher. We understand that positive behaviour is brilliant, but there are often sometimes where things don't go to plan. But incidents of poor behaviour at St Albans are infrequent, and when they do occur, they are dealt with swiftly and effectively. We adopt a restorative approach where we encourage pupils to reflect and to repair broken relationships. We believe this goes towards our behaviour for learning approach. Ofsted stated that our pupils' good behaviour and attitudes helps them to achieve, and we know that behaviour for learning is the foundation for creating curious, independent and ambitious learners. And whilst academic success is certainly important, it's not the only thing we focus on here at St Albans. We believe in educating the whole child, personally, spiritually and morally. And our system of extended registration and our Preparing for Your Future programme offers pupils the chance to engage with topics such as health and well-being, making moral decisions, and taking financial responsibility. St Albans is one of the smaller high schools in Ipswich, with around 1,000 pupils from years 7 to 13. And whether you stay with us for 5 years or for 7 years, our student-centred approach, where the Catholic ethos of learning, respecting and caring is evident in everything we do. We really can't wait to welcome you into St Albans in September. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Boosie.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm Mrs. Boosie and I lead the inclusion team here. I've been at St Albans 20 years and primarily in this department. I'm really pleased to say that a lot of the students that I've worked with over the years have gone on to universities, to very successful careers. So there's no end to achieving whatever difficulties you might have. The inclusion team at St Albans are here to ensure that all students are able to participate and achieve in lessons. That means that if you've got any difficulties of special educational needs, maybe such as dyslexia or ASD, maybe hearing or vision, perhaps even a mobility challenge, we'll work with your teachers to support your learning. And we offer the same level of support to students for whom English is not necessarily your first or home language, and also those under the care of the local authority. If you've got an education, health and care plan in place and you'd like to name this school, it's very useful to invite our SENCO to your annual review in Year 6. The types of support we can provide range from specific and direct intervention, things like with reading and spelling. We work on social skills, we have speech therapy, we can help with fine motor control, and also there's important additional English lessons. We have a team of teaching assistants who support us in lessons, but they also organise lunchtime activities such as jigsaw clubs, Lego clubs, chess clubs. The school is a dyslexia-friendly school and teachers can differentiate and make adjustments where appropriate. We also work with a number of professional organisations, including Canteen Inclusive Support, and we have a school-funded speech and language therapist. The school have a foundation learning base, and that's managed by a primary trained teacher. This base is used to deliver the curriculum at a more baseline level for some students, those who might be struggling to maintain progress at the same rate as their peers. It's a transition area and it's used flexibly and as appropriate just for students in years 7 and 8. We believe in celebrating strengths and we'll overcome all barriers by supporting students to develop independent learning in very many ways. If you'd like to chat personally with a member of the team, then please use email addresses that you can find after the presentation to contact us directly, but I'm quite happy to answer general questions in a short while.
Thank you. So thank you to my colleagues for their input this evening. I'm sure you'll agree they've given you just a small insight into the brilliant work that we do here at St Albans. So now it's over to you to ask us your questions. Mrs Morris, do we have any questions hot off the press?
So we've had some emailed in earlier, so I'm going to start with one of those if that's okay. And the question is, as a parent, how can I monitor how my child is doing?
Ms Alban, do you want to
I
answer
can
that one?
take that one. We use a programme called Class Charts where we monitor positive and negative behaviour. There's a dedicated app for students and for parents, and so you can both download it and to track your child's behaviour. We also have bought into the Class Charts homework programme, which will be launching after half term. All homework can be tracked there, and we have a central homework calendar, which we believe gives pupils more autonomy in managing their homework. And it also offers parents the opportunity to see exactly how their child's doing academically. Furthermore, academically, we do regular interim reports in which teachers track the data of how students are getting on in lessons, and these get sent to you either via email or through your child.
Thank you, Miss Allen. I'd just like to add to that as well, an excellent answer, but just to say that we view the relationship between the school and parents as a partnership, or carers as a partnership. So we do keep open channels of communication. The structures we have in place with the form tutors, the heads of year, heads of subject, we encourage people to be in constant contact with members of staff here so that we can work together to help your child achieve their very best.
Thank you. And leading on a little bit from what Miss Allen said, the next question is, will my child get a lot of homework? Will it be a big jump from what they're currently experiencing?
That's an excellent question. I'll take this one, as this is my area to answer. So we do two types of homework at St Albans. We do the kind of more regular homework, but we also do something called SAIL, which stands for St Albans Independent Learning. And we think it's very important for young people to develop a sense of independent learning if they're going to go on to higher levels of study, especially. It's a skill that's very important. So in Year 7, we are aware that it's a big jump from primary school, so we attempt to smooth the passage the best way that we can. And we do that by issuing a homework timetable so that students are aware of which subjects are set on which night and roughly how much time they will have to spend on this. So as a guide for this year, our Year 7 students are receiving 25 minutes per subject per night, and sometimes they have one subject, sometimes they have two, but they're never overwhelmed with the work. And in addition, as Miss Allen mentioned, with the use of the Class Charts homework app, it enables the students to be better organised. I think we're moving away as a society from using paper, so students less and less are using homework planners, but using the app instead to manage their time, and obviously keep the parents involved of that and informed of that as well. Thank you.
Thank you. I imagine the next question is something that lots of children will be wondering. St Albans is a big school, certainly compared to their primary schools, so how will my child know where to go, is the question.
I can take that one. So we like to do induction days. Obviously this year, due to COVID restrictions, it's been slightly different. But traditionally we offer induction days in the summer term where you can come and get a real feel for the school. We also have a great system of peer supporters here where our older pupils become mentors for younger students. They come in during form time and offer activities, and they help guide students around the school. It's a really positive system, and the nice thing about St Albans is that everybody is really friendly and everybody looks out for each other. If a student's lost, they can easily come and speak to any teacher they see or even any student, and they'll happily help them find their way.
Thank you. And I think we are a fairly small school as they go, so that's an advantage in terms of finding a way around. Mrs Boosie, did you want to say anything about the more vulnerable students and how we support them around the school?
Yeah, well, the more vulnerable students, I mean, we'll have to wait and see what happens with COVID, but often we can offer extra transition. So we might offer students who are particularly vulnerable, or have got some form of special education, extra visits to the school just during the school day, just to get a feel of what it's like in a busy environment. We've also got teaching assistants around, and like Miss Ellen has said, we've never lost anybody yet, and 20 years, that's not bad going.
Thank you. Next question.
Thank you. And the next question is about the canteen and what kind of food is available at lunchtimes for students.
Does anybody want to have a go at that one? I can answer it, but any of my other colleagues like to mention it? I'm sure they've all sampled the fine selection of food. So we have two food outlets in the school. We have the main canteen, and we also have a pod which serves food as well. Now at the moment year groups are using different areas because we are obviously for safety reasons maintaining year group bubbles. But in an ordinary year, students could go to either location and they can pick up their either a hot meal, a sort of snack, a panini, a slice of pizza, or they can also pick up sandwiches and things like that, and there's the odd sweet treat as well. It's worth mentioning that we use a cashless catering system, so students don't bring money into school, they register with a thumbprint, and that works really, really well. It means that you as parents or carers do need to top up their money to ensure that they can get their lunches, but it also means that we can keep an eye on what they're buying and ensuring that our students are making healthy choices. And it supports the students who are entitled to free school meals as well, because all they have to do is put their thumb on the receiver and their lunch is issued to them. So, for example, Fridays is fish and chips day. That's always very popular. But this week we've already had pasta, curry, all sorts of things. And often the canteen will do themed weeks with more exciting cuisine from all around the world, which Monsieur Magot absolutely loves. Thank you. Any more questions?
Thank you. I have a great question here, which is, how do we get feedback from students? Is there a student voice, a student council at St Albans?
Yes, there absolutely is. Mrs Morris, I feel that you ought to answer this question, as this is part of your remit.
I can do that. So, yes and yes. So student voice is really important to us at St Albans. and we encourage all students to participate in this. So we have a form council rep all the way from year 7 all the way up to the 6th form, and we also have house captain reps as well. So throughout our house system, we have a representative from each of the forms as well. Our student voice meet regularly with Miss Marcus, who oversees the student voice, and as part of that they have talked about things like the canteen that's very important to students, things like getting water fountains, looking at lockers, and trying to help make St Albans a better place based on their feedback. So it is something we do regularly and is important to us.
It definitely is, because the students are our customers, so we value their opinions.
Can I just add to that?
Yes,
I was going to
please.
say, I think it's also, that's quite a formal structure, isn't it? But there's also the informal, which is the relationship with the form tutors, which is actually quite paramount. And I think it's building those relationships up to enable the students to actually talk to them on a one-to-one basis or as a group, which is informal but just as productive.
And we certainly encourage our students to be free thinkers and to express their opinions, which they do very, very well, and they're valid. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is, how are students set? I know Mr. Magot mentioned in languages, but generally in year 7, in which subjects will my child be set?
Mr. Magot, do you want to say anything about that before I say?
No, you can go for it, because I've said it what I wanted to say.
Oh, and Mrs. Lawrence, just before we answer that question, would it be possible for everyone to, if you could reintroduce everybody, please? We've had someone who joined us late, and it would be really helpful if we could just reintroduce. Is that okay?
Of course,
Thank
yes,
you.
no problem at all. You're very welcome, any latecomers. So I'm Mrs. Lawrence, I'm one of the assistant head teachers here. Would you like to introduce yourselves? I think that's more fun.
Bonsoir, I am Monsieur Magot, and I'm the head of languages here.
Hello, I'm Mrs. Wise. I'm head of humanities, which consists of history and geography.
And I'm Miss Gilson, and I'm head of RE.
Hi, I'm Miss Allen and I'm head of year 8.
Hi, I'm Mrs. Busey. I'm Head of Inclusion. That's for children with special educational needs. English is an additional language of children in care.
Thank you. So the question was about different subjects and how they're set when they start the school. The answer is that we do a mixture. So a large number of our subjects follow a mixed ability teaching regime. So, for example, in the humanities, we always teach in mixed ability groups. But where we feel it's appropriate, we do set students. And the way that we do that in subjects such as maths, for example, is that we take into account their prior abilities. Often that will require an exam or a test for them so that we can gauge where they've come from. We work very closely with our primary schools to get information from them as well, because we understand that's very important to ensure that students can really have a seamless transition from year 6 and really carry on their positive trajectory to make them achieve as much as possible. So yes, we assess them, we use our breadth of experience to do that, and we put them in the appropriate sets. They're not set in stone. Students can move between sets where we feel it's appropriate, because we want to get the right balance between support and challenge for them. So it's a mixture, and we feel it works because it's appropriate to the needs of our young people. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a question that from Mrs. Wise, I think, which is about pathways, because we've seen pathways on the website. Can you tell us a little bit more about pathways?
Yeah, of course. So Key Stage 3 consists of year 7 and 8, and then Pathways is a blended year. So it's an opportunity for students to get to grips with GCSE skills. So they do not start their GCSEs in year 9. It's their opportunity to almost test those GCSEs in year 9. So for example, history and geography are pathways options. So students can opt to choose history or geography in year 9. And then during that year, they will develop the key skills they need to be able to succeed at GCSE. So history is of my specialism. So we start year 9 with an opportunity to work on key GCSE skills, to build the basis of exam skills so that they are solid in their understanding of it before they fully commit to the GCSE. Students have an opportunity to swap pathways options as well. So the current year 9 have been sent letters home this week to explain to them that at half term they can have the choice to swap an option if they wanted to try a different subject. So they're not covering GCSE content currently in year 9. They are being an opportunity to try and test that pathway to see if it's something they want to commit with into GCSE, but they have the option to swap in year 9. So it gives them a real opportunity to develop and work on those GCSE skills to hopefully make them really successful when they complete their GCSE in year 11. I think that answers the question, but if it requires more information, let me know.
Thank you, that's a great answer.
I think I have one for Mrs. Gilson now,
So you
which is, I'm not Catholic.
Oh, okay.
Does this matter in my RE lessons or in general?
Absolutely not, because obviously we take into consideration that not everybody is Catholic, not everybody is Christian. We also, as a faith school, have other denominations, other religions in school. If you're atheist, in other words, you don't have any particular leading towards a religion, your views and your values and your beliefs still count. So I think it's important that we stress that right now, that actually we welcome anybody, regardless of whether they have a belief or not.
Thank you. And I have a question for inclusion, please, Mrs. Boosie. Do you visit children with special needs before they come to our school, and how will we know what support they will get, and indeed how will you know what they need?
Okay, yeah, we do a lot of work with the primary schools, so I talk to the teachers at primary schools, and I also go down and visit them, and I'll visit any young people that are coming up. One of the other things we like to do as well, if we can, in a normal year, is for our teaching assistants here to go down and work with young people for half a day in the primary school. That gives us a really good all-round idea of what, the way they work. But we do a lot of close work with families and primary schools before students come here.
Thank you. And how do you support children with handwriting difficulties?
Lots of different ways. Once all students come into the school, we do a few assessments. We do a literacy and a numeracy and an extended piece of writing, so we can kind of have a look at any problems. We can offer intervention to help with handwriting practice, but for those with a difficulty that needs a little bit more, we've got Alpha Smart Word Processors. We can arrange access to laptops. And if somebody's really got physical disability and they can't use either, then obviously we can use the teaching assistants to scribe for them or use voice-activated software. So quite a lot of opportunity.
Thank you. A general question now to the panel, please. What subjects will my child study in Year 7?
A wide range of subjects. So you've seen representatives from a number of our departments here. So in the core, they will study English, Maths and Science and RE, obviously very important in our Catholic community. They'll study history and geography for the humanities. They will study French in the first instance for foreign languages. They will also study PE, drama, music, art and computing or ICT, a huge range of subjects. We are very proud of our rich curriculum. Have I missed any colleagues? Please tell me if I have.
If I could add something
Please do.
to that. We also offer our Preparing for Your Future programme, which is our equivalent of PSHE. So we cover everything from health and well-being, healthy relationships, making moral decisions, but also life skills for the future, so managing money and making decisions about university and future study. And we think that's really important for that idea of educating the whole child and helping to prepare our young students to be adults and to go out into the wider world.
I'll also add as well that we're actually being a lead school in working with a 3 to 18 curriculum as well. So we are working really closely with the primary schools in the trust to really develop skills going through primary schools into secondary schools. So it's something that I'm working really closely with history in developing a 3 to 18 curriculum. So to try and really gain those connections and stop the gap, the loss between primary school and secondary school, we're taking a real lead in that and hoping to develop a really strong 3 to 18 curriculum.
And likewise, we did a huge project with a number of primary schools locally over the last 2 years, working on maths skills between Year 3 all the way up to Year 8. So seeing the real overview there in terms of the maths curriculum. Any more questions, Mrs.
Thank
Morris?
you. I have a couple more. So the first one of which is to Miss Allen. What does a head of year mean? What does a head of year do as a new role to us?
So my job is basically looking after the academic and pastoral care of a particular year group. So my year group are currently in Year 8, and our dedicated head of years travel through with their year. And we believe that this offers a more comprehensive approach, and it gives me as a head of year the opportunity to really get to know each pupil. For me, my job is looking after up to 172 pupils, and so it's really important that I lean on my team, and that includes my form tutors, one of which is Miss Gilson, who's here this evening. Our form tutors are absolutely integral, and they support me on a daily basis with looking after our pupils academically and behaviourally. My biggest part of my favourite part of my job is celebrating the achievements of my year group. So I'm really passionate about celebrating the praise and the rewards and all the great stuff that goes on in a particular year. I'm not going to lie, we do sometimes have incidents of poor behaviour, but they are few and far between, and my job is also to deal with them swiftly and effectively, and I'm pleased to say that on the whole, our pupils behave absolutely brilliantly, and it's something that Ofsted picked up as well, and their behaviours and attitudes, for me, are absolutely superb, and it helps prepare them for the wider world.
Thank you very much. We have a question on our live chat, which is, what makes you passionate about teaching and working at St Albans? And I think that's a question to all of you. You've already mentioned how long you've been here, lots of you, so...
Or perhaps we could all answer it, Mrs Gilson.
I came here as a student. I know it doesn't look like that, but I came here as a student. My children, I sent my children to this school. I now teach here. If I didn't feel that this school had something really important to offer, I don't think I would have gone down that path. It's a superb school, it cares, and I think that's really important.
Yeah.
One of the beauty about this school as well is to see the progression of the children, and I have taught a few children who became teachers of languages, and their passion and their love was coming from this school. And I think this is one of the strengths that we have, is we look and we nurture our children really, really closely.
Yeah, it's an amazing environment. It's a really close community, and that's the difference. I don't think I would want to teach anywhere else. I came here for my placement year and just never left, and I've been here ever since. And I think, like everyone says, when you're here, you don't want to leave, and it's because of the amazing environment in this school. The children are amazing, and they make it such an enjoyable experience to teach. I absolutely adore teaching history. I love the job I do, but it's made even better by the fact that students are so engaged, so involved, and love learning with you, and that makes a difference.
Yeah, definitely, I agree with everything my colleagues have said. I've been here a long time. I've taught some of the staff that teach here. I've trained some of the staff that teach here, and it's a joy to do. And this really is like a family. And I've had the privilege of working in other schools, but none compare. And you walk through the doors at St Albans, and it feels different for all the right reasons.
Me personally, I also came to this school as a student. I was here all the way up until 2013, and very similarly to Miss Gilson and Miss Wise, I am so happy to be back here as a teacher now. The same safety and security and community environment that I felt as a student, I now feel amongst our pupils and amongst our staff, and that really is our major unique selling point, is our caring pastoral community. And I think it's so important that all pupils feel safe and feel secure here, and I think they really, really do, and they thrive and they love learning at St Albans, and we love teaching them.
Yeah, and the same for me as well. I came here just part-time really to help out as a teaching assistant in the classroom, and the whole experience just made me want to learn, and I studied while I was here. I had tremendous support from the school to study and to be in the position I am now, and also my own daughter came here, and I just can't recommend it highly enough.
Yeah, so glowing praise indeed. And I would just like to add that after the closures of last academic year, it's been a real joy to welcome students back into our school, and they love being back. We all love being back. It's not easy times, but it is a joy to work here for students and staff alike.
Thank you. My next question is about school trips, and I know some of them have been mentioned already, but are there any other school trips that my child might be involved in Year 7 that hasn't been mentioned?
Yes, just a fascinating fact from Mr. Baker earlier is that we run over 150 trips per year. I had no idea it was that many, but we do believe in offering our young people as many opportunities as we can. And as well as the trips that have already been mentioned by my colleagues, we run a biannual activities days week, which some of the trips run over a whole week, some of the activities run over only 3 days. But during those 3 days, my goodness, you name it and we do it. There are golf activities, there are football activities. I ran a PGL with Mrs. Morris last year, and I know a number of students do that in primary school, but we kind of build on that for the year 7s and 8s. Other kinds of trips to theme parks, exploring the local area, to castles, theatre trips. So many opportunities because being at St Albans, we're not an exam factory. We are very proud of our outcomes, but we believe that experience and living life and experiencing those things is really important for young people too. So we do offer a lot of opportunities. And the staff here are so committed, they will give up part of their holiday, their weekends to take these amazing trips. A trip to Berlin, fantastic. We were hoping to run that again this year. The future is uncertain. But what isn't uncertain, what is certain, is that we will continue to offer these opportunities. Thank you. Any other questions?
Thank you. Okay, I do have one question which Mr. Hall might want to mention behind the scenes here. The OSCE report talks about dealing with bullying well here. How do you do that?
Well, we deal with bullying very well at this school. I mean, I would say that bullying happens in school and sometimes children get their behaviour wrong, but I think what's really important to recognise is how we actually deal with that, and as Ofsted recognise, we deal with bullying quickly and effectively, and that was the feedback that came back from the children, so that was really pleasing to hear. We very much want to take our approach with our young people whereby we get them to reflect. So it was mentioned earlier by Miss Allen about the restorative approach that we take. We do look at things on a case-by-case basis, but we do feel the restorative approach is particularly effective so that children get the opportunity to understand why they behaved in a particular way and the impact it has had on others. And the restorative approach does really give us the opportunity for them to reflect on that. So for us, dealing with issues of bullying within school is really important. It's dealing with it in a timely way, and so that the young people who are affected by that feel supported and they have the opportunity to repair the damage that may have been caused in that incident.
Thank you. How do we praise and reward students at St Albans?
Ms. Allen?
I can take that one. We believe it's so important. As a whole year group, we collect house points which go towards the House Cup, which is awarded at the end of the year. We also, for pupils in Key Stage 3, we offer stars where they work towards a certain goal of house points at the end of each half term. More immediately, we offer Hot Chocolate Fridays with a member of the senior leadership team for pupils who have worked really brilliantly through the week. And we even offer at the end of the year pizza lunches with the head teacher. We also have all of our tutors and our form tutors and our teachers also communicate regularly with parents. We have some teachers who do Feel Good Fridays, who phone home for certain parents, for pupils at the end of each week, and we have praise postcards that either come through the post or through pupils in their form groups. We believe it's so important to praise and reward things that pupils do, both in lessons and outside of lessons. We also offer a golden tie for pupils who contribute excellently inside and outside of school, and that happens at our presentation evening at the end of each year.
And the presentation evening is a really outstanding event. Previous years we've run it at Milsom's because we really want to recognise those achievements of our students. So that's for the older students who've achieved particular excellence in their subject areas. And also for service to the school. There's a number of awards that are given, such as the Head Teachers Award, and those are for charity work, for service to the Catholic ethos of the school, for service to the school generally, and we think it's really important to recognise those things. Thank you. Any other questions?
A question about transport. Obviously we have quite a wide catchment. The question is, how hard is it to get a bus to school, and is that how most students travel?
Most do. We have some that cycle and some that walk, but obviously because we're not a catchment school, we are taking students from all over Ipswich. We even a couple of years ago had a student that commuted because they were committed, daily from London. So it can be done. The good news is because we're very near to the hospital and some quite major roads in Ipswich, the buses run very regularly. You can get a bus every 20 minutes or so. So we don't have any issues with students getting to school. We also put on some school service buses that pick up from outside the school to take our students at the end of the day. One of those goes into town and then one of those goes up Norwich Road. And so we put on a number of things for the students to help them, but we don't really have any issues with transport. We're well served in that respect.
What specialist rooms are there at St Albans?
Well, I can speak generally. Was that a general question?
Yeah, generally facilities that might be different to their primary schools.
Ah, yes. Well, what you will notice coming from primary school, of course, is that we have our subject specialists. You've seen a number of colleagues here tonight who are subject specialists in their area. I will speak first of all about our arts department, the creative performing arts. We have a whole block put aside to humanities and creative performing arts. We have 2 bespoke art rooms with a huge amount of all kinds of messy stuff in there. There's paint and who knows what. But we do put on an art exhibition every year because we're hugely proud of what our students produce. They're very talented, and our head of performing arts will be speaking tomorrow night if you'd like to tune in and speak or hear from her. In the same block we have the drama studio with all the lights and the costumes and so on, so that's there. Likewise, a music room which is set out with a number of different instruments. There's always the sound of drumming and ukuleles and keyboards and all sorts coming from there. So that's in the arts block. We have a technology suite with all sorts of power tools and things, if that's where your interests lie, but also the graphics materials, the textiles and the food technology room as well. So whereas in primary school you've been used to doing these things within a primary setting, we have bespoke rooms for these things, which is very exciting. Our sports hall is very new and very well appointed. We have a very large playing field, which our students enjoy. And our main hall is a kind of multi-purpose space where we put on school productions, and it has all the technology in there in terms of the sound and the lighting equipment. So yes, we are very lucky to have so many great resources here.
I think there's also the IT, isn't there?
Oh, yes, how could I forget all the computer rooms? Yes, of course. So we have static computer rooms, but we also use tablet technology, and the school's just invested in a new set of tablets to be used because we're having to move around a lot more at the moment, so we can use the technology in a more advanced way. Next question.
Thank you. How many spaces are there in Year 7 for pupils?
So we've recently increased our numbers due to high demand, so we can now take 174 students into Year 7.
And I have another question, which is, can I do Duke of Edinburgh at the school?
Absolutely, you can. We have run both the Bronze and Silver Award here very successfully. Had loads of students carting tents and all sorts of equipment around, but it's a huge leadership opportunity for them as well, and the students love it. It doesn't always rain, and it's very successful. So yes, absolutely, we encourage it.
And we go right up to gold in sixth form, so you can get
Absolutely.
the prestigious award.
Brilliant.
For commitment. That's all of our questions, thank you.
Well, thank you very much for tuning in tonight. I hope you found the session useful, and thank you for sending in the questions. If you think of anything else, as we said at the beginning of the evening, please do contact us, and we look forward to welcoming you in September and meeting you in person. Thank you.